Go live. What am I doing? I'm such an amateur, man. I know. Like yeah, it's like. Still seeing waiting for UltraDad. No, we'll let it go. Can you hear us or not? Hello, hello. Okay. That's right. We're in the green room. We're just chatting it up. It's like a little behind the scenes look here. The pre-show, everybody's watching my awesome footage from the Cruel Jewel 100. My phone on. All right, here we go. I'll go first here. What's going on, everybody? Hope you're doing well. This is Dan, the UltraDad. I hope all is well with you tonight. Thank you so much for coming out for this live stream. Very special live stream for me because it's all about one of my favorite topics every year, at least for the past 3 years, the Mohican 100. Before we get into it, though, definitely, if you're in the live stream, make sure you mention if you can hear me okay. That'd be pretty embarrassing to go on for very long and not have you hear me. So make sure you put something in the comments if you can, and let us know in the live chat if you can hear us okay, if the audio is good. And right now, we've got a very special guest in the green room. You probably heard him just a few minutes ago. We were chatting it up while I played the countdown, and that is, of course, Ryan Day. Very special guy, very excited to see if he can successfully finish his first 100-mile ultra marathon this year at the Mohican 100. So that's going to be very cool. Loud and clear, says Kevin. Thank you, Kevin. Matthew Gramas says, sounds good. Kevin is from California. Matthew, where are you watching from? Love to hear that. And we've got at least 6 other people watching right now. So definitely mention below in the comments where you're from, where you're listening from, where you're watching from. We would love to find that out. So just a quick background a little bit here. Mr. Day here, Ryan Day, is who I'm going to be interviewing tonight and just kind of hanging out and chatting with about the upcoming race. We are both going to be running this race. It begins next Friday. It's a very, very difficult race, just given the fact that it's 100 miles in the summer heat of Ohio. So it's going to be interesting. We're going to talk about all about the race, talk all about what is in store for both of us, and I just cannot wait to get Ryan's input on this and just get a window into Ryan Day's mind as far as what he is dealing with right now, what he is thinking about going into the race. So let's take a look here at the comments real quick before we introduce Ryan again. We've got Matthew again. We got Eduardo Sanchez from San Diego. I wish I lived there, man. Welcome to Ohio. And we've got Ridge Runner 11 from Columbus, Ohio. Thank you so much for joining us. All right, so let's get into this. I want to bring Ryan in, and let's get going. This is going to be an exciting discussion. I just cannot wait. So without any further ado, let's bring Ryan Day in here from I Run on Beer. There, it worked. There you are.
Am I here?
You're here.
I made it.
What is up, man? How's it going?
How's it going? First things first. Gotta crack the beer for the happy hour.
Oh, dude, you got me there. I do not. I'm dry. I do not have any alcohol in the fridge right now, unfortunately, but I do have water.
I got that too, definitely.
It's pretty sad. But this is kind of a little foreshadowing for what we have to come in Loudonville, Ohio, in the heat and humidity of Ohio. So I gotta have my water.
Oh boy.
Gotta be hydrated.
Yes. And honestly, maybe a peek at why you found success last year and we did not.
Oh, I don't know about that, man. That we can definitely get into. We will obviously get into our past races because last year was absolutely epic. I thought just a crazy experience for everyone involved. But before we do that, tell us a little bit about yourself, a little bit about your channel, I Run on Beer, and maybe just briefly tell us what you've been up to so far this year.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, Ryan Day, I run on beer. I guess brief running history. Kind of started running in high school with cross country, although I didn't commit really to sports and like was very flaky with it. And then hardly did anything in college. Senior year, I was like, I should find some kind of activity to start doing again. So just started running. It's big in my family. My mom, who you've also met, huge runner when I was growing up. So she kind of pushed me to run my first half marathon. And then, as I feel like everyone knows, once you've done one, it gets its hooks in you and you just keep going further and faster. So slowly bridged to the marathon, jumped from marathon to 100K and then 100K to 100 miler attempt, which was my first DNF. The 100K jump actually went phenomenally well, the Bandera 100K, which I think you ran that year as well. Yep. And then, yeah, Mohican was just a whole other animal, but very excited to be giving it another shot this year. Started recording my running journey, I think like 2 or 3 years ago at this point. Time during quarantine just flew by. But yeah, just kind of bringing the casual fun side of running to YouTube. A lot of like the I Run on Beer idea is there were so many runs I did, especially in grad school and shortly after, where it was like a bunch of us would get together and run, end at a brewery or bar, socialize over drinks afterwards. And I was just like, hey, this is so much fun. There's so many people who do this. I bet there's something here. And so then I Run on Beer was born. If the viewers want to see something truly entertaining, I would encourage you to go check out what I did to celebrate 1,000 subscribers when I showered in 12 gallons of beer. Easily my highest production value video I've ever made. I think we spent a couple $100 on all the supplies to put together a beer shower. But yeah, so having a lot of fun with it. As far as this year's running is concerned, I've done 3 races so far this year. One just casual 4-miler with the New York Road Runners, which I'm toying around with doing the New York City Marathon again and trying to maybe qualify by running a bunch of their races. But my major goal race was the Delaware Marathon at the end of April. So that was really what I dedicated training to. And then it seems like right when that wrapped up, it was time to turn the attention to the Mohican 100 miler. So it's been a good year so far. I'm trying to kind of get back on track with just consistency in training. So far, so good, but we'll see what happens after this race.
Yeah, man. So I think I learned about your channel after the Bandera 100K. What was that? 2019. It was pre-pandemic.
2020. It was right.
Oh,
it was January. Yeah, January 2020.
Right before the world shut down.
Yep.
That's right. And we both ran that race. And then after races, I watched videos to see who might have been running the race, who was filming, and of course I found your video. And so that's how I was introduced to the I Run on Beer tradition. And yeah, you're right, man. That video where you celebrated 1,000 subscribers was awesome, man. You bathed, Ryan bathed in like how many bottles of beer was that you?
It was over 100.
Or showered, not bathed.
Yeah, I think it was I think it was just over 100 beers. That was one of the longest parts of the video, was just filling the 12-gallon jug or drum with all of the beer. And it was, everyone asked like, did you really buy all that beer? Did you water it down? No, it was all beer. It was very cheap beer. When I bought the beer from the store, had a conversation with the clerk. I was like, what's the cheapest beer by volume? Like, should I get a keg and just empty a keg in? Will that be cheaper? And he was like, no, because it's going to be so hard to like pump it. It's going to be all foamy. cans are going to be the easiest. And he was like, I could special order this beer
That's
for you that's
special.
way cheaper than anything we have. And I was like, okay, this is too complicated. What's the
Yeah.
cheapest thing you have in store?
Yeah.
So I think we went with Miller High Life.
Okay. Okay.
The only additive to the beer was we would every couple cases we would spray the top with Pam because that dissipated the foam.
Oh.
So there was a little bit of oil mixed in there just to help with the foaming. But 12 gallons of beer, and it took like 10 to 15 seconds to empty it out of that drum through the PVC pipe shower we
Wow.
constructed.
And I assume no one drank the beer after you were done.
Oh God, no. Oh God, no. It just drained into a kiddie pool.
That is awesome, man. That is really cool. So,
Yeah.
yeah, so wow, Mohican 100, man, it is coming up. I just cannot believe how close we are. And I'm a little bit frightened. We'll talk more about that in a little while. But as usual, I mean, it's pretty typical to have those feelings when you're staring down a 100-mile ultra marathon. But kudos to you, man, for finishing the 100K in good time. I think you beat me. You went from a marathon to a 100K, and you hadn't run a 50K, you hadn't run a 50 miler, and you jumped right up to 100K and just put down a solid time, man. I was very impressed. Very impressed.
And that's what I think. I think that's part of our downfall at Mohican was just how well we did at Bandera, but also I would say the conditions that year at Bandera were perfect. It wasn't too hot, and we like right as we started the second loop was probably our lowest point, but as soon as the sun started to go down and it cooled off again, we were flying at the end of that race. It's also that's the best shape I've been in still, like in terms of just highest mileage, consistent mileage, very, very strong training going into that race. But yeah, the furthest trail run I'd done prior to that was a trail 5K.
Wow.
And so, yeah, training, it was definitely interesting. I could give a lot of credit to my coach for helping to get me ready for that and just doing a lot of strength work and a lot of back-to-back long runs because I couldn't do too much elevation training living on Long Island besides running stairs in my apartment, which I did quite a bit, and the occasional trail run when I could drive a couple hours upstate to get into the mountains. But yeah, that race, like hydration, nutrition, everything went off without a hitch. And I was hurting afterwards for sure, but I finished that race and felt like I had gas in the tank.
Wow.
And so going into Mohican, I was like, hey, I did a 60 miler. It's 40 more miles. Obviously, that's a significant change, but like I'm not going to be running as fast. It's just about maintaining motion forward, just keep moving forward. And so just like went in with some somewhat undeserved confidence. And we were joking. I think it was on the last year's live stream with Todd when you were asking us our goal times for Mohican, and we were like, oh, we might beat 24 hours.
Yeah, it does. I think right around miles, right about that 100K mark is when I really start to suffer. I mean, that's when it really, maybe 70 miles or so, that's when I really start feeling the pain. And you start to realize I'm running 100 miler. This is not a game. This is actually happening to me, and everything is hurting. Right about then is when I take some Tylenol usually, maybe some ibuprofen, but absolutely. Let me jump into the comments here real quick into the chat and just say hi to a couple people. So Tim is joining us. Welcome, Tim. Endurance 83 has become a friend of mine and a friend of yours, I think, over the past couple years. And also, of course, finished the Mohican 100 last year, beat both of us, and just threw down. Tim mentioned in the comments below what your time was. I think it was like 28 hours, 29 hours. Very, very good race. So Tim is joining us. And then, of course, Ryan Clayton just jumped into the chat. So welcome, Ryan, to the chat. Ryan is also going to be running the Mohican with us this coming Friday. Well, not this coming, but a week from Friday, as well as Tim. Tim, and a quick shout out to Tim. He just finished the Cruel Jewel 100. Just finished that a few weeks ago. And now he's going to try to go run the Mohican 100. And he's going to finish it. I don't know why he would do that to himself, but that guy is tough, and I just can't wait to see him have that kind of success to run 200 milers within a month's time. Man, if you want to pull out anytime, bud, go ahead. That's fine with me. I mean, you ran the Cruel Jewel 100. Actually, Ryan Clayton ran that last year as well. So, oh, he says it was 31 hours. Really? Oh, wow. Okay. So maybe he wasn't that far in front of me. He was definitely in front of me, but that's right. My brother Will ran it in 27, 28 hours, something like that. I think so, but he'll probably correct me too. So, anyway, welcome, gentlemen. Welcome to everybody who's on the stream. Thank you for joining us. Of course, this is all about the Mohican 100, and we're running it, man. We're going for it in just a few days. It's going to be absolutely amazing. Epic suffering is coming our way. I can just feel it. And hopefully, we get 2 more finishes, man. So, tell us a little bit about that, Ryan. So you tell us, just go through last year's race for those of us in the stream or who are watching after the fact, and tell us what happened, how did it go for you, and then we'll get into, and a little bit later, we'll get into what we're going to do to have better races, both you and I.
Yeah, so last year, basically did like just so many things that it's like the obvious stuff that's like, don't do this for an ultra. Number one of which being don't go out too fast. And I can't even remember how many times we said that in training, like in the strategy, in the plan, getting ready for the race, just like, hey, whatever you do, it's a long race, just consistency is key. And then we just blew out of the gates. Our whole group, the 5 of us, were just cruising. We were all feeling good. The weather was pretty okay to start, and we finished that first loop in like just over 6 hours, which was way too fast. And that's one of my favorite parts of my recap from last year to revisit is coming into camp after the first loop and my crew being like, how are you guys doing? You're looking awesome. How's it going? And me just saying, we ran way too fast and we're going to pay for it.
Yeah.
So started the second loop, and by this time we had all separated. So it was just my buddy Todd and I. And we're moving pretty good still for the start of the second loop, taking the hills slow. And I would say it was probably about halfway through the second loop, things started to take a turn. It started with Todd's hydration was a little off. We didn't know what it was at the time, but he was starting to get some Charlie horses, some light cramping. So we were moving a little bit slower, doing a lot more walking just to try to recover from that. More time at the aid stations trying to fuel, etc. And then by the time we got to the last aid station, he was having a hard time walking at all. It was looking at his legs was like there was the scene from Alien of the alien trying to get out, just something pushing up through his legs. And it was every 100 to 200 yards, all of his muscles would just seize up. So at that point, we started to realize something was seriously wrong. Again, trying to troubleshoot, trying to get the hydration. And we just decided at that point we're going to walk it in from here. I think it was like 6 or 7 miles back to camp. And then we'll reevaluate when we get back to camp. And as soon as we left that aid station, we didn't speak for most of that last stretch because I think he was just focused on what was going on with him. And in my head, I'm like, okay, Todd's probably going to drop. How am I going to continue on after this? We had a pacer who was planning to join us for the fourth loop. And I was like, maybe he can join me for the overnight portion for the third. And I'm just going through everything in my head. If he can't, I can probably go to the next aid station, jump on with someone else. Because I was just thinking, like, I was having a hard time imagining finishing the race on my own. And I was like, if I can jump on with someone else, maybe they can motivate me and I can just kind of like jump from group to group to get through at least the third loop, and then the pacer will join us for the fourth to get us through. And so I was going through all that in my mind, and how quickly that went from like problem solving, strategizing to just like, what am I doing? There's no way I'm going to finish this race. We aren't even halfway through yet. And so then all of that negative talk started. And our biggest thing, I would say, was we both went into that race. Obviously, we wanted to finish, but the experience was the biggest thing that we wanted. And so, again, this is all just internal debate in my head, but just sort of settled on like, you know what, I'm okay not finishing. I don't really want to finish without Todd. Like, he and I are doing this together. We've done all of our big races together, finished Bandera together. And so I was like, if he's not going to finish, I don't think I can finish. And then, of course, once you start accepting that, like, then all of the pain in my legs starts to set in because it's like I've already decided I'm not going to go on. So everything starts to stiffen up. And so then he and I kind of had a talk as we got closer to camp, and he was like, don't drop just because of me. And I was like, no, it's not about that. Like, again, it's about the experience of us finishing together. there. I don't mind if I don't finish. I've got the experience. And at the time, both of us were like, I never want to do this again. Like, I wanted to try the 100 miler. I tried it. Oh my God, this is so difficult. And I was like, but we did it. We tried it. Here we are. Didn't make it. Let's get back to camp. Went back, dropped, had our evening, licked our wounds. They put Todd on an IV when we got back to the finish line to rehydrate him, eventually go to sleep, wake up, and come to see y'all finish because we realized that you guys are obviously still out on the course.
Right.
And watching you all finish, we're walking back to our tent afterwards, and we were like, fuck, man, we got to do this again. It was so it was so motivating watching you guys, especially like you crossing the finish line, and like the whole family's there, and it was just like that's why you keep pushing forward. So I'm hoping the experience of last year will be huge. I hope we'll listen to ourselves, and like our plan really is to take it so slow. I think early on, especially during the first day when it's hot, and then just try to maintain a consistent, smooth pace as long as we can. But definitely not trying to push any speeds, not trying to go out of the gates too fast, not trying to run too much early on, just really slow and steady and just consistent progress. And hopefully that'll be the key this year.
Yeah, definitely. Man, your story is so interesting to listen to because it's funny how every runner has a different story, a different take on what happened. And, I thought I was done at mile 76. So we went through, my brother and I, for those of you who don't know, my brother Will, he ran with me, and of course Ryan's friend Todd ran with him. And then Tim was somewhere in the middle. I think he ran with both groups at some point. But
he blew past us when we started we started the second loop, and he came flying past us on a hill, and we were just like, all right, man, you are crushing it.
Yeah.
Keep going.
Yeah, absolutely. And so at some point we lost, I think it was between the first and the second loops. I think we went to our respective camps to rehydrate and take a break and then start the second loop. And then you all started before we did, and I think we eventually caught up to you mid-second loop, I think it was.
I think it was it Covered Bridge.
Yes.
Maybe we ran into y'all.
Yeah, right there. And then I think we pretty much finished that loop together, I'm pretty sure. And at that point Tim had already gone way past all of us.
Yep.
And then we didn't see you until the end after the second loop, because you all decided to throw in the towel, and my brother and I we were so close to doing the same thing. I mean, it was brutal, but we did go, and that was so the second loop we were actually feeling okay. End of the second loop, we get everything together and we head off for the third loop, and we're doing fine. About midway through the third loop, so maybe like mile 60. 65-ish, Will actually had a pretty low point where he was feeling really bad. And then he kind of came back to his senses and got pushed through that low point. And then at the end of the third loop is when I had my big, big low point. I mean, I almost quit. It took everything from Will, my mom, my dad, my wife to get me out of that aid station at our camper there. I was just so lucky to have them there, because if I was on my own, there's no way I would have continued at mile 75, whatever that is, 76, whatever that is. And so finally they kicked me out. But as we were leaving the aid station, I had this terrible cramp in my hip and in my quad. I think it was my left side. And I mean, I could barely walk. I was limping like significantly. And I told my brother, look, dude, you go ahead. You look good. There's no way I'll make it. I just can't. Like, I cannot walk physically. It's just not working. And he's like, well, you can quit, but you're going to have to wait until Mohican State Park, which is about 2 miles down the road. So you can walk there, but you're not quitting until you get to there. And that is the only reason I finished the Mohican 100 in 2021. Because I walked to that aid station, and by the time I got there, he went ahead. I said, dude, just go. I'm done. I'll make it. I promise. I'll quit there, but that's where I'm going to quit. So he goes ahead, and as far as he knew, I was going to quit. But when I got to that aid station at Mohican State Park, I suddenly started feeling better. I don't know how to explain it. Like, I think I had taken some ibuprofen, some Tylenol, so that definitely helped a lot. But within about 20 minutes, I went from the depths of despair to quitting the race, DNFing, something I had definitely not planned on, not thought about. I had finished it the year before. I knew I could do it. There's no way I can't go any further. And then in 20 minutes, I just was walking through the dark in the middle of a thunderstorm, and just proceeded on through that last loop. And then, as it became light in the morning, things just started to click. I wasn't running very much. I was walking, running, but I was moving, and I was beating cutoffs. Now, barely. There was a time where I wasn't sure if I could beat all the cutoffs. I thought I might be eliminated by time, but it turned out I was able to push through. And then the finish was just, it was so emotional for me because I couldn't believe that I actually finished the race, given how terrible things had been going. And it was so much fun to see you guys there too. So thank you so much for that encouragement. It was.
Oh yeah.
I've never been so happy to finish in like, I must have been like in the 90th percentile of the, or the 10th percentile. I was, there may have only been 20 runners that finished after me. So I only had, I think it was 21 hours and 32 minutes. So I was just lucky to finish the race, and I was so happy about it. So anyway, that's my story from
Yeah.
the Mohican
I
100.
mean, and that's exactly what I think we're trying to keep in mind. Obviously, the hydration piece was a huge. It like just fell apart for Todd, and I know he's been practicing. I mean, he's gone to see a hydrate, like get
Oh
his sweat
wow.
tested and everything. Turns out he sweats, like loses an insane amount of salt through his sweat, and so he's just been like practicing, taking all that in. And I think like as long as we can avoid detrimental issues like that, I think we're both in the same perspective of just like we've been through the lows and we can carry each other out of them, which we're hoping on. And now trying to remember like hard runs we've had that have turned around so fast if you can just figure out the way to make it click. And so I'm hopeful that we can make that work this year. But I'm just excited. I mean, there's so much uncertainty going in, but that's half the fun.
So how did you end up signing up for the race? Because I know that at one point you weren't going to be doing that, and I think, did Todd have something to do with that?
Yeah, so I mean, I mentioned I did the Delaware Marathon. I after last year running the New York City Marathon, it just reinvigorated, reignited my love of road racing. And I do feel like I've got a lot of room for improvement and can accomplish a lot in road racing if I can commit to it. And I was kind of like, I would do a road race, I would do an ultra, I would do a road race, I would do an ultra. And so I was just kind of like getting by in both categories, but not excelling, and made the decision after Mohican. I was like, you know what? Had fun with ultra running. I'll do trail runs now and then. We talked about doing 50Ks, but I was like, I want to refocus on road marathons again and road races again. And then sure enough, Todd comes along right towards the end of the year, and I mean, pretty much consistently throughout the fall, it just kept floating. Like, what if we went back to Mohican? What if we went back? And then I think it was like a week or two before registration opened, he just sent me the rental confirmation for the cabin at Mohican Adventures. He was like, "Hey, I just put down the deposit and rented this cabin, so now you're in. You have to come." And so that sort of sealed the deal. And then I guess serendipitously, the registration was just past midnight on New Year's Day. And so some alcohol, or on New Year's Eve, I should
That's right.
say. So alcohol was involved. We were all celebrating. If I remember, quite a few of us were messaging on Instagram that night as the time got closer and closer. Registration confirmations were circulated amongst the group around 1 or 2 in the morning. and now we're all here.
That's right, man. If I could do a little screen share on my phone, I would, but I don't know how to use OBS that well. But I have a number of messages from you from that night saying Todd just signed up for or something like that, or he just rented a cabin, and he's been
Yep.
bugging me about this, but we're gonna have to do it now, and I think I'm gonna sign. Are you gonna sign up? And I was like, yeah, man, I'm in. Let's do it.
Yeah.
And oh, by the way, my brother already signed up. He beat me to it. So it's going to be the same group. It's going to be so exciting. Then Tim, man, I still don't understand the insanity that it takes to run the Cruel Jewel 100 and then 3 weeks later go run the Mohican 100. But I'm so excited that he's joining too. It's going to be fun. It's going to be a tradition, man. That's exciting. So
No, I'm pumped. Yeah, I can't wait. And again, to have the whole group. And I remember too, like as we started to talk about it, I think you were thinking about another race, so you're like, oh, maybe I'll come and pace for you all. And then you were like, nope, talk to my brother, he's doing it, we're in. And then
yeah,
you talked to Tim, and Tim was in. So like slowly, and how quickly, I won't say slowly, how quickly all of the pieces fell into place, which is like, oh no, we're all going back
yeah,
now.
yeah. We're all in. So. Real quick, I want to bring up the map of the race, and I want to get your impression on a couple of different things, some changes that have been made. So let me see if I can get this up. So there we are. So this is the 2022 version of the Mohican 100. This is the new map that they published on the website, I think, not too long ago, probably 3-4 weeks ago. And I can't zoom in right now, but I don't know if you've had a chance to look at it, but it definitely has changed a little bit right here near the campground. So what are your thoughts on that? Were you aware of that? And what do you think about anything about the map and the course?
Yeah, so I've definitely been looking at the map. We had heard that they were going to change specifically by the camp. So I think the email came out last week with with the official map and everything. And looking at it, biggest disappointment was the cabin Todd rented was specifically because it was one of the cabins on the course.
Yeah.
So it was like, oh, we're going to run right past. And so now being a little, that was the main reason for getting a cabin, so we could pop in if we needed to change, anything like that. Bathroom, like had everything right there. And now it's a little ways off. I was hard for me to tell from the map exactly how far away we'll be, but if I'm remembering the terrain correctly, it's uphill, so we'll have to like kind of go downhill to get to camp and then back uphill to get back on course. So not the best, not the end of the world. I'm just kind of, there's nothing I can do to change it. So just waiting until we get there to see how far away the course is. And then I think we'll use that to decide maybe like the first loop, our crew will just meet us on the course. We probably don't need to change, don't need that much gear or anything. They can just bring everything to us. But then maybe for the second one, if we want to do a little bit longer, we'll wander down to the cabin, get changed, anything like that, and then get back out on the course. But
yeah,
interested to see how far off the course the cabins are now.
Yeah, I had a similar thing because we picked our campsite based on that as well. So our campsite was probably a stone's throw away from your cabin. Or maybe it was on the other side of the lake there, the pond, but it was really close to the course as well. Actually, I think our campsite is right where that bridge goes across from when you come out of the forest and you cross the bridge and then you're in the campground. That's basically where our campsite was. And we were excited to be able to find that spot. But now it's definitely, I don't think that's part of the course anymore. So yeah, you're right. It's going to be interesting to see what we're going to do there. Although I would say that where our campsite was last year, which was pretty far down, it really wasn't that bad. It was only like a 2-minute jog back to the campground, and that's probably about the same distance that it was then as it is now for us, at least. So it shouldn't be too bad. I don't know if you noticed that. Well, I don't think any other major substantive changes have been made to the course. Of course, I like to mention, though, the fact that the first 2 loops are longer than the last 2 loops, and the big difference is the section when you go through the gorge, and
that's one thing I'm trying to like just force into my brain. Like even if it doesn't seem like that much of a difference, it cuts out a huge climb, like it cuts out significant elevation and 4 miles of course, and it's like that makes a big difference. Like if you're at a 15-minute mile, that's an hour less. So like I'm trying to remember that, like no matter how rough we feel after the second loop, remembering that, hey, the third and fourth loop, it might not feel like it because we're going to be in rough shape, but it is going to be easier, hopefully, than the first 2. And if that's not the case, lie to me and tell me that it is going to be
No, absolutely. And I think that is a big deal. I love that part of the fact that they make it the last 2 loops shorter and easier. Like you said, you won't feel that, but mentally it should be, and psychologically it should be very helpful to just think about the fact that you don't have to. And honestly, that section, what I really remember, of course, is the gorge, this amazing, beautiful gorge, where you have to go up that route section, which is just awesome, and it's so much fun to
Yep.
film, and we had a great time doing it. But that is a very, very slow section. So I am,
Yeah.
it is nice to think that that's cut off of the last two loops, and it definitely buys you some time for sure. So I think that's awesome. So it is about 4 miles difference per loop. So it's
I think so. Yeah, because it's what? I think the first two are 27, and I think the second two are
okay,
23, if I'm not
okay,
mistaken.
okay. Yeah, that makes sense. So yeah, and the vertical gain with this course is not crazy. I can't remember what it was. Was it like 14,000 feet total? Is that ringing a
I
bell?
think so, yeah, and it's registered higher this year, but like you said, the course it didn't change all that much. I think it's just the difference in measuring devices. But yeah, I think it's measured a little bit higher this year as compared to last year.
Interesting. Okay. Which that doesn't make any sense, does it? I mean, it's like because if they take away the
Yeah.
campground had some ups and downs there, you know, and I feel like they have to be eliminating some distance, right? By taking that campground section out.
But that's what, so I think if you look at like right as you come back into camp, it looks like you do kind of these two like out and backs
Okay.
almost.
Okay.
And I'm assuming that's where they're making up the distance again. It also just made me kind of laugh because I think if I remember, they said they were changing it because so many people hate like that you get into camp and then it feels like you're winding through camp forever and it's like mentally exhausting and
Yeah. Yeah.
defeating.
Yeah.
So they're like, hey, so we cut out that part, but then it's like, yeah, but now there's just like you're just kind of like zigzagging back and forth, which seems equally as frustrating. But
Yeah, yeah, definitely. If there's out and backs, or that's definitely going to be frustrating. I hope that's not the case. Sean Masterson just mentioned in the comments, "Good luck." Thank you, Sean. I appreciate it. If anyone's running the race that's in the chat right now, definitely mention in the chat. Of course, I know Tim is. I know Ryan is. Whoever else is listening or watching, definitely mention that below. We'd love to get into a conversation with you and try to answer any questions. This is my third year running the Mohican 100. However, I've only run the course as it is now twice because the first year I did it was the COVID year. And that was in October, and it was a totally different course. So, but if there's anything we can answer, definitely mention down below in the comments. We'd love to hear your thoughts, or if you have any advice for us for those of you who finished it like 10 times, which I think it's funny how at the pre-race briefing they mentioned that they ask for those, how many have finished it once, twice, three. They go all the way up, and there are some people that have finished it 10, 12 times, which is just crazy to me.
wild.
It's just amazing.
And there's that one guy that's done it like almost every single year, and I remember seeing him a couple times on the course last year and saw him finish, which was just
Wow. That is
unbelievable.
so inspiring to think.
Yeah.
But all right, well, Ryan, tell us a little bit about your training since the Delaware Marathon. How's it going?
Yeah, it has not been as fruitful as I would have hoped. I think we kind of had similar transitions where I really went all in on marathon training because, like I said, that was my big goal for the year. The race could not have gone better. Ended up running. I shaved, I think, 7 minutes off my PR,
Congrats,
so I ran
man.
a 3:37, which was just, I mean, it felt so good. It was not too challenging of a course, but it was like uphill it was a lot of hills in the beginning and then relatively flat for the back half. But I mean, it was just everything worked out perfectly. So I was very, very pleased with that. And as soon as that was finished, wanted to kind of like take some time, enjoy that win. And that lasted for about a week. And then I was like, oh my God, it's a month until the Mohican 100. And so sort of I took a week totally off after the marathon. And then I kind of had like a transition week back where I just tried to maintain some like easy distances. I think I ran a half marathon on the weekend, and was just, like I said, just trying to maintain. And then not last weekend, but the weekend before, I tried to fit in like a long duration effort on trail, just so that I haven't run a trail since Mohican last year. And so I was like, this would probably be a good idea to remember how this goes. And I had gone out again overconfident coming off the marathon and how well that went, and experiences in the past of like, oh yeah, I've done some pretty good trail runs in the past. I'm sure this will go fine. The downside of living in New York City is there are not really any trails around. It's about 2 hours to the nearest like halfway decent trail. And I was just going to a trail I'd never been to before, was trying to find something that was a loop so that I could get back to my car to refuel, resupply, but also one that had some elevation. Found something on All Trails that one of the reviews was like great for trail running. And I was like, all right, great. This should be perfect. It was like 1,500 feet of gain in the first mile or two, and then kind of flat total of an 8 mile loop. And then I got there, and a mile or two into it, it was just a nightmare. Like the spider web of trails that were coming in and off of the main trail. And I had my watch to kind of like try to keep me on course, but it would basically be like I would kind of see the direction I was supposed to go, so I would take a guess. I would run 100 yards, and my watch would be like, nope, you're off trail, and I'd turn around and run back. And so trying to fight with that. Then like 3 miles in, the trail was just totally overgrown, so I was in waist to chest high brush. East Coast ticks are a huge concern, so I was like, this isn't really what I want to be doing right now. And so by the time I turned around and started heading back to my car, I was like, there's no way I'm doing this loop again. Like I just don't want to fight with the elements for the next 8 to 10 hours. And so just decided to turn it into a hill workout, and basically just ran that first climb a couple times to get some elevation in my legs. And that's one of the moments where I said, like, trying to remember how quickly my mood changed. Like, I was so low when I was halfway through that first loop, just about how miserable it was, feeling like this isn't like, I was hoping it was going to go so well. This was supposed to be my practice run for Mohican, and it's already going terribly. And then as soon as I started hitting the hills, mood and immediately changed. Even though I was putting in a lot harder of an effort running up and down that hill, like I just felt so good in my element. My legs felt good, legs felt strong, fueling was going great, and was just cruising up and down the hill. And so like I didn't get nearly as much mileage as I wanted. I think I finished with like 15 or so miles, but just a great run, and left feeling really good. That was my last long effort, or last like really substantial difficult effort. I did another 19 miles this past weekend on road, and now I'm just tapering and getting ready for the race. So I would say since the marathon, it's really just been about maintenance, or just about maintaining fitness, and just hoping I've got enough to carry me through.
Yeah, man, I think you've done a pretty good job, honestly. I did see the video you had from, I think you posted it today or yesterday for the 19 miler. That's good miles. And to be honest, the pavement is so much more painful for your body, I think, and your joints. That's a solid training run to do on the road. And, I take some comfort in the fact that I think I don't know if I was reading the website for the race or something, but they say basically the cutoff is generous enough that you could literally hike the entire thing. Probably can't take many breaks, but you could hike the entire thing and finish within the 32-hour cutoff. So, that's very comforting to me. It kind of makes me wonder, though, how did it take me 31 and a half hours to finish last year? Because I ran that first loop like with you guys, and we were flying, man. It's like, and
Yeah.
I'm trying to look back and see like how did I lose so much time? And I think for me, it was in the aid stations. I think that it was so nice to have my own aid station at the camper that I think I got too comfortable. I know I spent at least between the third and fourth loop, it was about an hour. It was like 45 minutes to an hour, and that is way, way too long. And I think between the second and third loop, it was at least a half hour. So my goal, I think, this time around is going to be to limit the aid station time as much as possible. If I need to stop because I'm in trouble, I've got issues, injury, something like that, I get that. But if it's just because I'm tired and just kind of sleepy and want to lay down, no naps. I'm not going to nap again. I've done that. I've made that mistake several times in a couple different races, and it seems to never pan out for me. That's one of the things we did between the third and fourth loop last year at the Mohican 100
Yeah.
is Will and we convinced ourselves we could take a 20-minute nap, and
Yep.
he just, I mean, he's also like 8 years younger than me, but he bounced right out of that chair and was ready to go.
Yep.
I was like, oh my God, I feel like someone just tried to,
Everything
yeah, it's
seized
like
up.
I'm dying here. Like my whole body can't. That's where the pain came in with my hip and my quad. So
Yeah.
I think we gotta cut. I gotta cut the napping out and just take an extra caffeine pill or something.
Yeah. I mean, that paid off huge for us. That was part of our strategy last year was limiting time in aid stations. And I remember something I did that worked out real well for me was I carried just a bunch of empty Ziploc baggies with me. And so when I went through aid stations, especially on the second loop, I would just grab stuff on the table, throw them in bags, and throw them into my backpack. So that way we didn't have to stop or eat anything, and we would just kind of
Right.
keep going on our way. But like you said, you can hike it and finish it in the 32 hours. So distinctly remember like so many people that we had passed early on in the race passing us on the second loop, and they were going the same exact speed that
Yeah.
they had been going. They were just keeping that smooth, consistent pace. And it was when we were hurting, like when we were at our worst and moving so slow, and they just caught up and went right past us. And we looked at each other and we were like, "This is the key. Like
Yeah.
you just have to find the comfortable pace and just try to maintain that." And so, yeah, I think that's going to be a huge part of our plan this year is a lot more hiking than running, taking advantage of the downhills and the flat ground. But I think I had said this too last year that the course is deceptively runnable. There's a lot of flat sections and gradual downhills. So you just feel like you want to run. But that took a toll on our legs for
Yep,
sure.
yep. Like you said, I had when I was watching your video recap of the race, I had to laugh. Of course, the same thing that you just mentioned. When you come into that first aid that aid station after the first loop, we're gonna pay for this, and we
Yep.
all paid for it, man. We all paid for it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm thinking, if it took us 6 hours for the first loop last time, for some reason I thought it was faster. Was it not 5:45 or 5:30? Maybe it was six.
So you all finished faster. We split up towards the end of the first loop
Oh,
because
okay,
Tim and Will started to run ahead,
okay,
and then Todd and I came in behind. I think we were just over 6 hours.
okay.
Um,
I'm
but yeah,
thinking
something. It
I'm
was
thinking more like 7 hours now. I think my first loop.
That's exactly where we're
Yeah,
at.
yeah. I want to almost even say 8, but if I don't get faster after that, you won't finish on time. So I think maybe 7 is a good starting point. Yeah, I think
Yeah,
so.
and I think when we were looking at it, that's close to a 15-minute mile, I think. And so yeah, just maintaining that. If we're doing 7 hours on the first two loops, we've got time in the bank. Hopefully, we can keep up with 7 hours since the course will be a little bit shorter for the second two loops. But even if not, we've got a little bit of time bank. So I think that's right in our zone as well.
Yeah, I think that'll be great, man. I think that'll be good. Um, well, what else? Yeah.
I laughed at your video a couple weeks ago when you were talking about the various strategies that you could
Yeah.
take, and you were like, "Do I just like try to run until I can't
Yeah.
anymore, and then just crawl? Do I try to maintain a consistent pace, or do I just blow out at the start and like just see how fast I can go for how long?" And I was like, "Please, dear God, don't choose three."
I think as I was saying that and recording it, I was thinking of you when I said that. I was like, Ryan's
Yeah.
gonna kill me. If we have any hope of running parts of this race together, I'm gonna have to
Yep.
opt not to do that crazy
Yeah.
strategy. Yeah, I don't know. I just kind of like you see these elite athletes and you wonder like how do they do this? How do they
Yeah.
how do these elite ultra runners just run from the gun until the end? With a few
Yep.
stops for aid stations. I mean, it is crazy. And you look at races like the Cocodona 250 that just got done a couple weeks ago out there in Arizona. 250 miles. Now that took probably four
Unreal.
days. I think typically it takes them, but I mean, it's just hard. These athletes are amazing, and I think
Yeah.
sometimes I may set a little too high of expectations, for my 41-year-old body. So
Yeah. After last year's race too, I realized that I have what I would be much like I want to be able to I would like to finish 100 mile. Like that's definitely I would love to be able to have said I did it, earn the belt buckle. But I also am becoming more and more interested in like multi-stage races where you're not running like a massive distance, an ultra distance all at once, but you're doing like 25 miles a day for a couple days on end and running from camp to camp. Because I like that idea of like starting with a big group, everybody kind of has their own race to the day, but then you all gather again at whatever the next stage of the race is, have a night, camp out, run to the next one. Like those, I'm hoping to see more of those start to pop up, because that like just sounds like a lot less of a toll
Sure.
on the body. More, I mean, in some ways, more just in the lining up back to back to back days. But just something about that is very alluring.
Yeah, a guy that I follow, Jeff Pelletier, he just did one in Africa, I think. Was it Africa? I think it was. And then I think he's going to do another one here, maybe right now or coming up in a week or two, in the country of Georgia. So,
Oh
yeah,
wow.
so he's been doing these stage races, and it is very interesting. If you have you checked out his video from?
No, I haven't seen
Oh
it.
yeah, you got to check out his video from his runs in Africa. It was pretty cool, on Jeff's channel for sure. But
Yeah,
yeah, but the issue with that though is, I just, with work and family obligations, I can't
yeah,
travel across the world to do it.
yeah,
But I could go down to the Appalachian Trail and do something like that, or I could maybe go out
yeah,
west if I wanted to. So yeah, when are those races going to pop up in an affordable way that you can just
yeah,
bring your own gear and go for it? That'd be a lot of fun.
yeah.
I think that'd be a lot of
No,
fun.
I agree. I'm hoping to see because I feel like I've heard more about them recently, so I'm hoping that means that the interest in them is starting to drum up, and hopefully we'll see some more start to pop up. And I mean, everybody just wants to keep going further and further and further. So eventually, you're gonna have to split it up instead of doing 300 miles all in one shot.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. All right, so we got a couple other comments in the comments here. We got Ultra Trail Steven saying, "Good luck, guys." He mentions it's Nambia, which is a small country in Africa, I believe. Okay.
Mhm.
I got to test my geography here.
I think so. Yeah.
But and my brother has joined us now. He says Zambia, Namibia. It's Namibia, not Nambia.
Namibia and
Namibia,
Zambia.
yeah.
Yeah.
And they're both in the chat now. So actually, I'd be curious to see if Ultra Trail Steven has any advice for us. He's going to be running the oh shoot, what is it? Because I almost signed up for this race out west in Idaho. Oh boy, why am I totally blanking on the name of this race? It's 100K, but it is in some extremely rugged conditions and rugged terrain. I think I did sign up for the race. I was going to go out and run with him, and then it turned out that weekend we had a lacrosse game for my son, so I was on. Or it's a tournament, so a weekend long tournament, so I wasn't able to do it. But instead, I'll be running the race out there in Utah. It's a 100-mile race that starts in Salt Lake City, and yeah, it's going to be amazing, dude. I don't know. Did you know I was running that race?
I remember you when you first introduced like your races throughout the year mentioning it, but
Yeah.
don't know much about the
Yeah,
race.
it is awesome. It's in Salt Lake. It actually it starts just outside of Salt Lake, in the mountains just surrounding the city there, and it goes for 100 miles. It's a hard rock qualifier, and it's going to be crazy. I think my brother Will's going to come out with me and crew me. So
Oh, nice.
yeah, so it should be fun.
Very nice.
But
Because you got a camper?
yes, we got a camper, and we're going to be bringing that to Mohican, so I'm pretty excited about
Nice.
that. That was our little Christmas gift at the end of the year, so pretty excited about that. We took it down
Very nice.
took it down to the Smokies a couple months ago and had a fun time down there. Got some good runs in the mountains there. That's a really pretty place to run.
Yeah.
That's actually where Ultra Trail Steven lives, of course. So
I was about to say I'm jealous of a lot of his videos with the scenery down there. I've done a couple hikes through, like not for a long time, but when I was a kid, we spent a lot of summers hiking through there in the Boy
yeah,
Scouts.
oh yeah, that's a perfect place to do that. Yeah, actually, so Steven says it's the Beaverhead 100K. I just totally slipped my tongue, so sorry about that, man. But the Beaverhead 100K, it's a Western States qualifier that's out there, and it's an awesome. It looks like an awesome race in Utah, and I think you actually run from Utah into Idaho for that race. So,
Oh,
but
nice.
yeah, so oh yeah, Ultra Trail Steven says try the Vol State 500K, and he says LOL. Vols State
What's that? That's 300 miles,
in
right?
Tennessee. Yeah, in Tennessee. But is it a stage race, Stephen? You'll have to let us know. if it's a
Yeah.
stage race. I think it is. I think that's one. In fact, doesn't doesn't the guy who puts on the Barkley Marathons run that? I think he does. I think he runs that race, or maybe
Uh,
hikes that race.
Laz.
Laz, I think he actually participates in that as a runner. So pretty cool. But all right, man. So what is going on? What else is going on that we should talk about? What gear are you taking that's different than you took last year to Mohican?
Mostly everything's still the same. Only real upgrades I made. I got a pair of, I mean, last year I just ran in like a pair of Brooks running shorts.
Oh, that's
Had
awesome. That
some
sounds comfortable.
significant, I mean, they're very comfortable, but had some significant issues with chafing.
Oh,
So that's been a problem solving, or a
oh,
trial and error kind of thing over the last couple of months. Uh, yeah, so I was using Body Glide, but I guess just not nearly enough. And so I got I got some of that. I got some compression briefs to wear under the shorts, and then I got a pair. They're somewhere around here, but some John G like half tights for the second half of the race.
that's pretty
So
cool.
that's been the only gear upgrades I think. Everything else is staying exactly the same because I didn't have. I mean, gear felt great. Everything worked well, but aside from the
Yeah,
chafing.
man, the chafing.
I,
I had all that too, and I don't know if there's any good solution to that. I know that the squirrel's nut butter is good stuff. I've never tried it, but I've heard it's really good stuff. I've
yeah.
used Aquaphor as well, and that
Mhm.
seems. I've done a combination of things. I think I did Body Glide and Aquaphor last time, but even so, like I still was in a lot of pain at the end of that race, man. It was like
Yeah. I think my issue is not my issue is with reapplication. Like I put it on very generously at the start of the race, and I think I need to remind myself that like, hey, this wears off
yes,
after a
yes,
certain amount of time. And so I have to, even though I know it's going to take more time, like I think I'm going to force myself what at least every loop
right.
to just in the important spots make sure I'm
Yeah,
covered.
it is funny because you think, well, that's like a no-brainer, right? Like you do that, but
Yep.
when I'm at mile 50 or 75 at the aid station, that's the last thing I want to do is put that stuff on.
Yeah.
But
It's like I just want to keep
yeah,
going. I
yeah,
don't want to stop for
yeah.
anything.
But you know that you're going to be in extraordinary pain if you don't.
Yeah.
So we'll
Yeah.
have to we'll have to remind each other to do that during the race.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I brought a couple other things that I'm going to be doing. I'm going to bring Dramamine just in case for nausea, I guess.
Oh
I didn't
yeah.
realize that they actually did that for nausea. I knew it was something you took if you were motion sick, but
Yeah.
I'm going to try this if I do get nauseated. Hopefully I don't. I brought my little Hammer Nutrition cup.
Oh, that's
I think
nice.
did we not get these at the race last year? Because I think I got this at
Oh no, I don't
I
think
think it
so.
was in October of 20 the first time I did it. They handed these
Yeah.
out. It was pretty cool. You attach it to your pack with that.
Yeah,
So
that's nice.
yeah, and then
That was the nausea thing reminded me. I got we also have I forget. So Todd's girlfriend is in med school and she got some fancy high quality anti-nausea stuff just in case cuz
oh
I kind of just had like resting nausea, especially the early miles when it was hot. Like my stomach was just always kind of unsettled, never to the point of getting sick, but
right.
just like it made it hard to eat because I just didn't feel good. Except at the aid stations, I would drink ginger ale and that like would clear it right
Yep.
up, and then I could eat a lot. But I got just like little ginger cough
Yeah.
drops, ginger chews, just to like suck on throughout the race because I'm hoping that that'll the help because I mean the ginger made such a significant difference
Yeah.
last year.
I
So
have a giant bag of ginger candies, Gin Gins
yeah,
actually. I think Ryan Clayton's still in the chat. He recommended those, and I like those, so I'll bring those and probably pass them out to anybody
yeah.
that needs them. But yeah, man, and I also brought Clear Eyes. I brought this right here because I wear contact lenses, so they get really dry,
Oh yeah,
and a lot of
smart.
salt gets in your eyes and stuff. So I brought that, and then as far as camera gear, I'm going to be bringing my Insta360 One X2 and my GoPro Hero 8. So, which
Very
is
nice.
yeah, I've been using these the Insta360 a lot, but it's a little bit
The shots are
yeah, it's
good.
kind of contorted too, like, and the audio is not nearly as good as the GoPro. So I'm gonna kind of
Yeah.
bring both and maybe play with that. So what kind of watch are you gonna wear?
I got the Phoenix
Oh,
7, so yeah,
nice.
that is also a new piece of gear, and that was I've been wanting. I've had the Garmin, the Forerunner 935 since probably 2015 or 16, probably 2016. And the battery was starting to go, still worked great. It just needed to be charged. I mean, it's like such a minor thing to be concerned. I've been like need to be charged at like once a week
Oh,
when I used to be able to like let it last. And if I was running longer duration efforts, like especially during peak marathon training, it was dying a lot faster. And I mean, obviously, it didn't come anywhere close to. I think it died after the 50 miles at last year's race. So wanted something that could get through the whole effort and just wanted a watch that had more of the bells and whistles to it because I also got the Forerunner before there was tap to pay or music on the
right.
watch or anything like that. So had been saving up with my YouTube
That's
cash
right.
and put it to good use.
That's awesome, man. Yeah, I've got the Phoenix 6 Pro, and I like that a lot. And I haven't really upgraded from that yet. But I did get the Vertix 2 sent to me from Koros.
Oh,
So I'm
nice.
planning to go ahead and take that, and actually I'm going to have Will wear it and test it out for me. So
Yeah, that's
yeah,
great. I do have to look into, I want to make sure I tweak the settings right on the Garmin to make sure I get the full battery use out of it. Because I know I was using a lot of the features when I tried to do that long trail run a couple weeks ago and the battery drained pretty quickly. But I know like turn off the wrist heart rate monitor, obviously, GPS only, and not have, I mean, that was actively tracking me, which took a toll on
sure,
the watch as
sure.
well. But
Absolutely. Are you? Tell me who's coming with you for the Mohican. Is your wife going to get to come this year?
yes, which I'm
Awesome.
very excited about. Yeah, so she wasn't able to join last year because I think it was the weekend of, she's a teacher, and it was the weekend of her class's graduation. But yeah, so she's coming out this year.
Awesome.
So her and I will leave next Thursday, and we're doing a 2-day drive out to Ohio. And then my mom and stepdad, sister, and her fiance are all driving out together on Friday as well. And I think that's our group. So you've met all of them except my stepdad and my wife. And then my little sister lives in Chicago, and she might be driving down also. She's a hard maybe right
Hard
now.
maybe.
And then on Todd has a big group. I think his girlfriend's parents are coming, his sister's coming. They had two friends that came last year. They're coming again. And I think maybe his uncle is
Oh
joining as
wow.
well. So yeah, he's got a pretty big crew, and they're planning to not just meet us at the finish line every time. I think they're going to come out to like the halfway point, at least for the first two loops, to maybe meet us at like the dam or something like
Oh,
that to
that'd be
help out.
fun. That'd be a lot of fun. That's great to hear. Yeah, he's from Iowa, right? Michigan.
Michigan.
Okay. I don't know why I thought
Yeah,
Iowa. Okay.
Grand
Just pick a
Rapids.
state and say something. Yeah. So
Yeah, yeah.
that's cool. Okay. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. I had so much fun meeting Todd and the whole crew, the whole I Run on Beer crew, family, friends. It was a great time. And my parents will be there again with me. And also, Will is running, of course. And then my wife and kids will be there too. Then they will probably be at the dinner on Friday night too. So you get a chance to meet my wife and
Perfect.
kids. That'll be a lot of fun. But
Perfect.
yeah, it's going to be awesome, man. I am so looking forward to it. So yeah, man, it's getting real. It's getting real.
Yeah. I will say or we had like a little crew meeting a couple weeks ago,
Oh,
and
cool.
one of the funniest things that we talked about was the night before the race last year. We had a talk where, as I mentioned, Todd's girlfriend is in med school and was very like on the medical side, just wanted to make sure we're all set. And or the question she asked was like, at what point, if we notice something is going wrong that you aren't recognizing, do we need to pull you from the race? Like, if you want to keep going, but we're like, this isn't a good idea. And we were like, I don't know, like if we're slurring our words or something, like if we're clearly not in the right state of mind. But like just had such a hard time fathoming it because in our mind, we're like, we're obviously going to finish. We're going to do amazing. But like if we're destroying our bodies, maybe they need to make the call. And this year I was like, that's the opposite of what's going to happen. What's going to need to happen is when we want to quit, you
Yeah.
guys have to push us out and be like, no, quit being babies. Get back out on the course.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, my wife. What's funny is she reminded me the other day what she told me at between that third and fourth loop. She said when I was going through that low point, I think she said something. I can't repeat it really, probably for YouTube, but something to the effect of, I was a little female dog, and I needed
Yeah.
to get out there and, and finish the
Yeah.
race.
Yeah, so I did tell
So,
my wife, I was like, choose your words carefully because I'll probably be in a vulnerable state. So like don't berate me, but use the right amount of force to get me where I need to go.
yeah, yeah. And that is really the key, I think, for me is to just get my butt back on the trail.
Yep.
Keep if I have to walk, just walk, man. I mean,
Yeah.
it's
Just keep moving
I'm not gonna
forward.
yeah, I'm not gonna be afraid to do that. But so I do have one question for you. This is a little bit probing, but do you think this year, if you or Todd decides to quit, will the other continue, or will you both quit or both finish?
It's tough. I've been thinking a lot about that over the last couple of weeks because I was thinking like if something were to like if something went wrong with my race and I was in a rough spot,
Right.
I would want Todd to go forward for sure. I wouldn't want him to feel like he had to stop just because I was stopping. But then like on the flip side, if he drops, I don't know if I want to keep going. And that was something too, like a realization I had on that trail run when I was really struggling was I love the adventure of trail running, but I love experiencing it with someone else. I love going through it with a buddy. And like when I'm going through the hard stuff out on my own, like I do see the value in that and like being able to persevere through something on your own. But I'm also like I feel like I appreciate it a lot more with someone else there. And so I'm not sure, and I don't know if we'll be able to come to a decision before the race. It might be an in the moment thing. I think we might have like an informal discussion beforehand, just to be like, hey, what are we thinking?
Sure.
And like just trying to talk through it. But I think it's just going to be a spur of the moment what state we're in and also like when in the race it happens, if it's really early, if it's really late. I just don't know. It's so hard to predict.
I
But
know,
yeah,
man.
I've been wrestling with that. I've been wrestling with that.
It's an age old question. What do you do in that situation? And
Yeah.
I will say, like, I was amazed. The first 100 miler I finished, which was the Mohican 100, that's the only one I've ever finished, was the first one, back in October of 2019. And it was really cool because I met a couple guys that I was by myself at this race, totally by myself. I had no crew, nothing, and no family, nothing. It was just me there. And I met a couple guys that really helped me get through. Tim and Carrie, and I got to know them quite a bit. Really, really genuine, nice guys, and we all finished the race, and it was pretty awesome. We ran most of the race. Well, I think we met each other on the like mile 30 or so, and we went a solid 50 miles together, and then we
Yeah.
kind of separated, but it really helped a lot. So it is definitely true. If you can find a buddy or run with a buddy, that's the
Yeah.
beauty of this race, though. We're all coming back. So there's like,
Yep.
there's so many friends that are going to be there. It's just going to be a lot of fun, and I just can't wait, man. So
Yeah. I'm pumped.
yeah, well, I know.
Nervous as hell, but excited.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. Me too. Um, all right, man. Well, just out of respect for your time, I know you have some traveling to do here, and I just appreciate you joining me tonight on the channel, and I'm looking forward to this, man. It's going to be a great time. I'll leave the floor to you for a final comment.
Oh, final comment is tough. But I mean, I guess the final comment will be hopefully the next time we do a live chat, whenever it is in our future, or when we check in after Mohican, we've both got belt buckles.
Oh
I'm really
man,
pulling for it.
that would be absolutely awesome, man. That
I
would
want
be.
it. I want it.
Yeah. Hey man, that you can do it. It's again, let's just stay injury free. Hopefully, knock on wood,
Yep.
right? And let's get through this thing together, man. It's going to be
Yep.
awesome. So I want to thank everybody for joining us tonight on the channel. Really appreciate all the people that did stop in to check it out. And thanks again for watching UltraDad, my channel. Definitely check out Ryan's channel, I Run on Beer, as well as his on Instagram. That's where he has a lot of followers as well. And follow along. I think, Ryan, you'll be updating your Instagram during the race, right? Is that what you said?
Yeah, I usually try to post probably starting like Thursday as soon as we leave. I'll just keep updated with stories and things like that throughout the weekend. And then my wife does a good job taking over the social media when I'm out running.
She's your social media manager. That's awesome.
Yep. Yep.
I'll also try to put some YouTube shorts out there and potentially some Instagram stories as well. And it is just going to be an absolutely epic, epic weekend. I can't wait, man. I can't wait to see you in person, have a beer or two, or
Yes.
hopefully not more than that, right? I don't know if
Yeah, definitely not before the
the
race.
night
Maybe
before.
after.
Yeah, maybe
Yeah.
after. And let's get those belt buckles, man. So thank you so much for
Can't wait.
joining me. Thanks everybody else for watching. And with that, we will catch you in the next one.
Thanks.